fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The dungeon smells of iron and regret, a metallic tang clinging to the damp stone. It's a smell that seeps into your skin, into your very bones. I press my forehead against the cold, rough wall, the chill a small comfort against the burning ache in my wrists. The manacles bite, a constant dull throb, but it's the silence that truly terrifies me. Not a natural silence, but a held breath, a waiting stillness that presses down on my chest. They've left me here for days, or perhaps it's been weeks. Time has lost all meaning within these walls. No torture, no interrogation, just this abandonment. It's a slow unraveling of the mind. The Queen's guards had dragged me through the castle, treating me like a sack of grain, their gloved hands bruising my arms with casual disregard. I remember the polished marble floors rushing past, the horrified whispers of the courtiers, the scent of beeswax and lilies, a cruel contrast to the filth I'm steeped in now. But when they'd thrown me at her feet, she hadn't screamed for my execution. She hadn't even flinched. She'd merely stared. "Liora of the Blackwood," she'd murmured, her voice like velvet dragged over a blade. Each syllable was perfectly formed, yet held a chilling edge. "The little rebel who thinks she can topple my throne with fire and pamphlets." I'd spat at her boots, a pathetic act of defiance, fueled by desperation and rage. She laughed, a low, melodic sound that sent shivers down my spine. It wasn't a laugh of amusement, but of something else, something predatory. Now the click of heels on the stone floor jolts me upright. It's a sound I've come to both dread and anticipate. The scent hits me first, blood oranges and nightshade, a decadent, poisonous bouquet that clings to the air. It's a scent that speaks of power, of privilege, of danger. Queen Selene sweeps into the dungeon like it's her court, her crimson gown pooling around her like spilled wine, staining the gray stone with its vibrant hue. The fabric whispers with every movement, a subtle rustle that echoes in the oppressive silence. Her raven-black hair is coiled into a crown of intricate braids, each strand perfectly in place, and her lips are painted the color of a fresh wound, a stark contrast to her pale skin. "Still alive, I see," she purrs, stopping just beyond the bars. Her voice is closer now, and I can feel the weight of her gaze on me. It's not a hostile gaze, not exactly. It's assessing, calculating. "Disappointed," I croak, my voice raw from disuse. The sound is barely a whisper, and I have to clear my throat to try again. "That I haven't withered away and confessed to plotting your demise." Her amber eyes gleam, flecked with gold in the dim light. They're mesmerizing, unsettling, curious, she replies, her voice soft, almost a breath. "I find your resilience intriguing." Visits every night. Sometimes she brings wine, a dark, ruby liquid served in a jeweled goblet. She sips it slowly, deliberately, watching me shiver in the damp, my teeth chattering despite my attempts to control them. She doesn't offer me any. Other times, she asks questions about the rebellion, about my life before I became a symbol of resistance, about my motivations. But her gaze always lingers, tracing the lines of my mouth, the curve of my hands, the frantic pulse fluttering at my throat. It's a predatory attention, and I find myself both repelled and strangely captivated. "Why won't you kill me?" I finally demand on the seventh night, my voice raw and desperate. The question has been building inside me, a knot of frustration and fear. "What game are you playing?" Selene pauses, her goblet halfway to her lips. Moonlight slices through the high window, gilding the curve of her cheek, highlighting the sharp angles of her face. She looks almost vulnerable in that light. "Because if I kill you," she says softly, her voice barely audible above the dripping water, "that would mean I admit you're anything worth killing." Heat floods my veins, a burning flush that spreads from my chest to my fingertips. It's not anger, not entirely. It's recognition, a dawning understanding of the twisted logic that governs her world. "You're afraid to acknowledge me," I say, my voice trembling slightly. "Afraid to admit that a little rebel has managed to unsettle your perfect reign." "I'm afraid of nothing," she snaps, but her knuckles whiten around the goblet, betraying her composure. The lie hangs heavy in the air between us. The next night she unlocks my cell. The metallic click of the key echoes in the silence, and I stare at her, stunned. Her chambers are a den of silk and shadow, draped in heavy velvet and lit by flickering candlelight. The air is thick with the scent of incense and exotic flowers. When she peels off my filthy tunic, revealing the bruises that crisscross my ribs, her breath hitches. "Stubborn fool," she mutters, but her fingers are feather-light as they trace the purple and blue marks on my skin. It's a strange sensation, to be touched with such tenderness by the woman who holds my life in her hands. "Why are you doing this?" I whisper, my voice barely a breath. "Why are you showing me kindness? Why are you torturing me with hope?" She doesn't answer, not with words. She simply looks at me, her amber eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions I can't decipher. It's the smell of smoke that wakes me, a acrid, burning scent that stings my nostrils and fills my lungs. Selene is already at the window, her silhouette rigid against the pale moonlight. The eastern wing is burning, she says, her voice eerily calm, as if discussing the weather. Your people have come for you. I sit up, the sheets pooling at my waist. My heart hammers against my ribs. I know they wouldn't. I try to convince myself, but a cold dread settles in my stomach. I'd warned them against a direct assault. It was too risky. She turns, and for the first time I see fear in her eyes. A raw, primal fear that strips away the queenly facade and reveals the vulnerable woman beneath. But my generals don't. They'll slaughter every rebel they find, including you. Then let me go, I say, my voice pleading. Let me try to stop them. It's too late, she says, shaking her head. She strides to me, cupping my face with trembling hands. Her touch is surprisingly gentle. They'll demand your head, and if I refuse, they'll know I matter to you. A tear slips down her cheek, tracing a path through her flawless skin. Run, she whispers, her voice choked with emotion. Now, while you still can. But the door bursts open before I can move. Armored soldiers flood the room, swords drawn, their faces grim and determined. At their head stands General Verk, his smile serpentine, his eyes cold and calculating. Your Majesty, he says, bowing mockingly, we've come to dispose of your distraction. Selene steps between me and the blades, her voice a queen's command, laced with steel. Touch her, and I'll burn this kingdom to ash. His grin widens, revealing teeth that seem too sharp, too predatory. Then it's treason, Your Majesty. The soldiers advance, their swords glinting in the candlelight. The air crackles with tension, with the promise of violence. I brace myself, knowing that this is it. This is where it ends.